Hello, Alex Antolino here, Creative Director at VideoAsk. In this episode today, I'm really excited because we're going to get to talk about how to use video as a lead warmer, how to warm up your leads by using video. Our guest today is Stanley Tate. He's a student loan lawyer and he runs his own business, Tate Law. And I'm really excited to have you here. How are you doing, Stanley?
I'm doing well. How's everything with you, man?
Great, man. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you because since the first moment I saw your website, I was like impressed in the way, in the way you use video. And I think what was most surprising to me is because it was unexpected. We all have this idea of, lawyers being like serious and things like that. And I was like, this guy is just so approachable. And I got really excited about this.
Thank you,
Um,
man.
yeah, absolutely. So, the first question that I want to ask you, which is probably the first question that I got when I saw your page, is all right, this guy is a lawyer and he's putting, all this effort in making video and not just effort in terms of resources, but also in terms of money, buying camera gear, equipment. And the first question I have for you is like, why are you doing this if this is not your profession? Why are you investing all this energy and money and time?
So what I do is I'm a lawyer, but what I am is a business owner at the end of the day, and my job is to get clients. And for me, most clients find me through organic traffic, through searches on YouTube. So they're already coming to me cold. They don't know me from anyone else. So it's my job to make them feel like they're coming and meeting a friend. And that's where like video comes into play.
Mm.
And so you can sit there and do a webcam video and it'll be okay. You could do the audio from your camera, phone, or whatever, and it'll be okay. But if I want to deliver the best experience possible to this person where they just feel like they can reach out and touch me and connect with me, then it makes sense to invest in video equipment to give you a better image, to give you better sound, to give you better lighting. That way, your stuff doesn't look like in the US, we would say janky, where it looks kind of cheap or something. And it gives a person a reason not to trust you, right? My job is to give you all the reasons to trust me. And so the better quality I can produce in content, the more questions I'm taking off the table for them. I'm making it say, "Oh, okay," and they may not even realize it. They may not even think about it. Most people, but there are those who look at it and are like, "Oh, wow, he's really putting attention into this." And if I put that much attention into that thing, what am I going to do for your case as well? And so that's like the entire mentality I have behind the process.
And I love this, honestly. As like a creative director, I can say like, wow. I mean, I'm impressed because like it's something that you usually don't expect, but it's true. I mean, you said it. Like as a business owner, you need to think about those things, and I think it's very exciting for me to see people who are like on spaces or like industries that are so different from like mine, for example, or
Yeah.
from the tech space that are doing these things in such a inspiring and exciting way. So kudos for that. And for all you guys watching, I will ask you later to check out his page because I really recommend it. It's so exciting. You might, if you're a founder or you're a marketer running a brand, things like that, you might be able to get some great ideas on how he's using it. But we'll get to this later. Um, Before we move on, I very briefly introduce you, but for those watching, can you explain a little bit who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Stanley Tate. I'm a lawyer that all I do is help people solve student loan issues. Like in America, where people just have outrageous amount of debt. We're talking like $1.7 trillion dollars of student loan debt that exists. And so I have people that owe 100,000 to
Whew.
almost $1 million US in student loan debt, and they're trying to figure out how to pay it back. So I help them solve those issues, and we go through repayment, we go through negotiating settlements, we go through all these things just to put them in a better situation so they're not struggling with their debt. And that's my entire law practice, is just helping people with those situations.
I love it. And I wanted to ask you because you already said it a little bit, but I want to dig deeper into that.
Yeah.
Why do you think being so personal is so important?
I think number one, I am a one man band, and the brand is that of one man. Like the website is tateesq.com. So you're coming, you expect to see me, or I would think so, because like if you show up and you just have this wall in place where it's like the stock images or something, or just even a stock photo of yourself that doesn't really show you or your personality, then people don't get a feel for you. You're still this stranger to them. But if I can show you how I talk, how I move, I cuss in some of my videos, right? I use a swear word because that's how I am when I talk to you. I'm going to let you know this is how I communicate. And that's okay. It may not be for everyone. It may not be for every brand that makes sense, but for me, it does. And so I want to make sure that I do those things so they can connect with me. I also like when people onboard, they get an email from me. They schedule an appointment. They get an email, and inside the email, it shows them a photo of me and my dogs, right? And so I want them to know I'm a dog owner. I want them to know certain facts about me, that I'm from the South Side of Chicago, that I served in the military. And this won't matter to every client, but for some people, they matter. And they email you back and they let you know about their dogs. They send you photos of theirs. They tell you they were in the military. And so now you're building a relationship and you're breaking down that virtual wall in between you and the computer. It's computer to computer across the internet. But how do I become your friend? How do I become someone you trust? Because if that's what it takes to make this connection to make you feel safe with me, so you can pay me this fee that I charge, then that's what I'm going to do. And it's easy because, like, you're just being yourself. You're not asking yourself to be anything other than who you are. You're just sharing a little bit more that you don't think matters, but it actually does because people connect with you.
Guys, I think this is like already like great tips from Stanley. I think in a way, I would like offer you, like I would make you an offer to like become like someone at support a type form or something like that. Just the way you talk, I think it's like super like on brand in a way. And it's like one more time, I think it's great to see people from other industries doing, like just being so focused on the experience, which is so important. And you also mentioned something, you mentioned trust, right? And I think I've said it many times also when I talk about branding, like the goal of any brand is to build trust. It's not to make money. Money will come if you build trust. And I think it's like, it's great that you have it so clearly figured out in a way. And so you guys watching, get your notebook or your phone, whatever, start making notes, because like there's so much to learn from Stanley. Um, Also, I think you said you make YouTube content, right? Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, so I do YouTube videos where all I'm really doing is taking like what I would do a blog post on, and because I do blog posts, they're just question and answers, and they're the longer form answers. So then in the video content, I'm just answering that question for these people because not everyone is going to digest information the same way. So some people need to digest it in written form, some people need video form, some people need back and forth communication with people to get things. And so my job is just to be able to communicate with people and connect, because communication just isn't me talking. Communication is me listening to you and understanding how you receive information and being able to display it to you that way. And so that's why I do the videos. And again, it gives me another chance to connect where I may have something in my background shot that someone connects to a
Mhm.
photo, a piece of art, or something. And I started thinking about this a lot when I was watching the TV show Mr. Robot, and they had one of the characters. He would walk around with a coffee mug that said, "Greatest dad ever," but he
Mhm.
wasn't a dad, but he had the coffee mug just so people can connect with him and see him as that. Because who doesn't love a guy with a coffee mug that says "Greatest dad ever"? It makes him relatable. And so the things you can place in your shot, the way you can communicate with people, if you use your hands, it says, "Oh, this person is like me." And then it makes them say, "Okay, I trust this person, let me go forward," because it's a crazy place on the internet. There's so much bad information out there because anyone can hit publish. So whatever I can do to give myself authority, to give myself trust, where people say this is the guy for me, great. But then also, the more that I do where I show my personality, it's also filtering people that aren't a good fit for me. So they said, "This isn't the guy for me." And now we don't have to waste each other's times because I'm paying you respect by showing you who I am. And you say, "No, this isn't a good fit for me." Cool, no worries. We can go on our separate ways. And that's how I try to think about these things.
That's awesome. And I love the example of the Mr. Robot, because I watched the show and I remember very clearly with the like of that moment, because I it also like made me think a lot about many things. And it's funny, like you talk like a filmmaker. So I wonder, like, was it hard for you, like at the beginning, like getting in front of the camera, or it's something that it's been always kind of like easy for you?
It was not easy. It was terrible. I would like trip myself up because it's a very abnormal thing just to talk to a lens.
Yeah.
And you don't get used to it until you start doing the reps. But when you first start doing, you feel very awkward because I'm used to seeing a face. But what I would do is I would have the camera there and I would put a mirror behind it. So now I'm just talking to myself, and then
Oh,
that's
hold on.
okay.
Wait. Hold on. Let's stop here for a second. Did you guys hear that? I've never heard about this. This is such a brilliant idea. So when you're talking to a camera, put a mirror behind it. So you like you're talking to yourself. That's brilliant. Did you like figure out this on your own? Like, or did
Well,
you saw
I
it somewhere?
knew. So sometimes I would have a friend stand behind the camera, but then that
Oh, I get
requires
it.
you can't produce content unless you have a friend there, and that
Which is
gets in
not
the
really
way of
scalable.
right. It's not scalable at all. So I was like, what is it that I like? I realized I like seeing my eyes, and so that got me
Yeah.
over the hurdle of just looking at a face and then
Oh,
talking to that
yeah.
face instead of just talking to this inanimate object. I'm talking to a black box with a glass in front of it, right? And I'm totally comfortable with it now, but before it was such a struggle, and it probably took me a good 30 hours, 40 hours of recording. You get so frustrated
Wow.
because you do the same cut over and over again, and you find
And
yourself
every
talking
time
too
it gets
fast.
worse.
It gets worse.
It gets
And
worse.
so it was
You
just a
think, oh yeah,
way.
I'm gonna fix it, and you're like repeating and repeating, and every time it's more like I guess you guys watching, you've been there, like repeating. Maybe like it was like on an Instagram story or something like that. That you were like, I don't like it, I don't like it, and at some point you're like, okay, yeah, fuck it, like
Yeah,
it's something
exactly. It's
else.
terrible. And so then you look at the audio clip and it's just a bunch of you doing resetting every time. And it's just one long clip of just resetting, and it's just like, you know what, there has to be a better way. But the only better way is to put the reps in until you get comfortable with it, because it isn't
Yeah.
natural. It's
Do
not
you
natural.
still do you still use a mirror or something like that, or
Nah, bro, I can just break it out and just start talking now.
Perfect. Guys, great tip from Stanley here on how to, start getting more comfortable because it is weird. I mean, we talked about this on the very first episode of the show with Sarah Love Geiger. She is communication pathologist, and she was giving us like great tips on how to get more comfortable. And also with Diana, we'll link those episodes here. So if you're interested in like, breaking this shyness in a way barrier kind of thing, you have some resources here too, you can check it out. But yeah, it's definitely like a journey, and sometimes like watching you, I was like, this guy's been doing this the whole life, and there you go, you had your own struggle. And some people ask me, oh, Antolino, why are you like, so you look so comfortable on camera? It's like, I am an extrovert, and in a way for me it's like it's easy, but the whole technical part of it that took you like, I mean, because I have the screen, so if I'm looking at Stanley, I need to look right here, that's where my screen is. So when we're talking, we're not seeing each other, actually we're looking at the camera. And this is something that most people don't realize until they have to do it, and it's a process, right?
Definitely. And like Zoom's sometimes a little bit hard, especially because like I've seen some people. There's this YouTuber Tyler something, but what he does is he places kind of what's it called, where you can read the text on the screen and everything like that. He
Mm-hmm.
puts that and he displays the person's image behind it, right? And so now he can actually
Yeah.
see them through it,
Mm,
and that's one way to do it. But what you're missing is like visual feedback from that person. So you're
exactly.
totally relying on audio. But thankfully, if you just hone your skills of listening, it's really no different than the phone. And now we're just communicating
Right.
this way with video. So
Right.
it just takes reps. It just takes reps.
Exactly. And because I know a lot of people, because I had conversations with some customers at VideoAsk and things like that, and I know some people are like insecure, or they think they might be judged or something like that. And this is all in our brains, because
It is.
we've been in that process. And even myself, like when I started making Instagram stories to build my own personal brand on my Instagram channel, it was awkward at the beginning, right? And so yeah, I mean, like getting these reps, as you say, like getting building the muscle, it's a process. I wonder, just to address those insecurities of people being afraid of being judged and things like that, I wonder if you ever had anyone that doesn't understand what you are doing with video, being a lawyer, criticize you or question what you're doing in terms of video and the brand you're building.
So in my industry, it's such a low bar for quality of content. Like most of the content that lawyers produce sucks, and they're very awkward and very stiff because they're playing the role of a lawyer instead of just being themselves on camera.
There you
So I
go.
haven't gotten a lot of criticism. I haven't gotten any criticisms actually. I get lawyers that are like, "How do you do what you do?" And but when they ask me how do I get past like any insecurities I may have about being on camera, there's like this quote that I mess up all the time, but basically it goes, "I'd rather regret the things that I did rather than regret the things that I never did." You know what
Right,
I mean?
exactly,
So
100%.
like so if I just do it and like especially like with video, right? Like if you try to color grade, things can go bad very fast, and this sucks, or the audio sucks, and you're comparing yourself against someone who has been years in the game of doing it, and you're like, it should look like this. Well, you don't get there until you put the reps in. But
Mhm.
even where you start at is still better than the person who hasn't done anything at all yet either. So, are there
Exactly.
stuff that I look at I'm totally embarrassed by? Hell yes. But you know what? It was a learning process getting here. And yes, other people that look at it that are better filmmakers than me, they may say, oh, this is trash. Okay, cool. No worries. I'll get better over time. And the thing is, like, I'm small. Like, maybe I do like 60,000 views a month on YouTube, so nothing huge, right? Like, but I get people that reach out to me from it, and like, if I fail, I fail. If I do good, I do good, and that's okay. You're not going to please everyone, and you just got to get past that part and just put out the content because I'd rather have more leads coming in because I'm doing something instead of not having leads because I'm too afraid to grow my business.
Exactly. Like honestly, this is exactly I think what some people might need to hear right now because we know how much of a entry barrier there is in terms of like recording camera and how awkward it can be. But there you go. You have your benefits. Honestly, like my background is on film, so I can assure you, you're doing a great job. Honestly,
Well, thank you.
it's true. And then I think we're gonna get to it a little bit later. At the end of the episode, I'm gonna ask Stanley to give us a couple of tips on how to be more authentic. You already dropped like this golden gem of the mirror, which I was not expecting. But stay up until the end of the episode, and he's gonna drop some tips on how to be more authentic or how to feel more comfortable on camera. Before we get into that, I want to talk about your website, right? Because that's the first thing that I saw from you. That's the thing that was impressive in my opinion, and I want people to watch it, and I want to discuss it a little bit. Okay, for those of you who haven't watched the website yet, so what Stanley, I mean, why don't you explain what you're doing on the website actually?
Yeah.
On your
So
homepage?
Yeah, so on the homepage, it's just started with moving from WordPress to Webflow, and in the process of moving to Webflow is like we're going through these Figma designs. Figma's like this design software, and we were looking at different stock hero images. And because you have your standard hero image where it's like hero image and some text, and I was like, this doesn't communicate, especially because like on cell phones you have to communicate above the fold very quickly. And so I was like,
Mhm.
what can I do to get better? And I started thinking about things. I said, well, there has to be a way, maybe video can work where it just pops. But then you think about like a video just popping on that doesn't do anything other than like, oh, some cool shots. What is that? And so I started looking into other tools. I was like, wait, there's actually a way to do like a lead qualification. But I wasn't thinking about lead qualification at the time. I was just thinking about people are coming to my site because they have questions and they want answers. So I could have the navigation button at the top. Cool, that's there. But then also, why not just do it through video? So why don't I just ask you a question? Hey, what are you here for? And then do that. And then when I found the tool to do that, it just so happened to be Video Ask. Like I was able to create these things, and now instead of having a regular header with stock photo, this hero image, we have the video. So now you're getting right to the information you need. You have a question, here are your answers, here are the relevant blog posts for you to go to. Or if you want to skip past that and just go into a phone call, cool, we can do that too because I want to be able to serve you where you're at, what you're looking for right away. I don't want you to have to guess about it.
Right. So I think what's relevant here, I think that explanation was great. And what's relevant here is not is like for you guys watching is it doesn't matter if you use VideoAsk or whatever. I mean, we prefer use VideoAsk, of course, but like
Yeah, but it just so
here,
happened to be the tool. It just so happened to be the
exactly.
tool.
And this is the point I want to make. I think what's relevant here is like Stanley figure out a way to put video on his on his above the form on the hero section of the website on the homepage, but in a way that serves a purpose. And I really like how you said people come to my website because they have questions, right? This is like, it's super, I love because you explain the things in a very simple way, and I really value that. And so it's true, like people will come to your website because you will have to give them some answers to the questions they have, right? So being able to use video in a way that is interactive, in a way that like solves that questions, I think it's really, I personally think it's really powerful. And I really like the way in which you're doing it. And personally at VideoAsk, we're always looking to different examples and people using it in many different places. We have a lot of users, and I'm always trying to figure out, the most exciting cases. And one of the things that really hit me from your example is how you are so straight to the point, that like it's just engaging. So if you have never used VideoAsk is like a series of steps, and you go from one through the other. And what I thought it was great on your case, Stanley, is that like your videos are like literally 5 seconds or something like that, and it's impossible to not engage because they're so short. And sometimes we start rambling around and talking, and yes, I am, blah blah blah, but you were like so sharp with this. So what was the process of like, coming up with this, and like, maybe did you do a script, or like how did you do it?
I thought about it like there are these books that, and I'm sure you had them over there too. Like there are Hardy Boys mysteries, where like there are these young adult novels where you choose your own adventure, right? You read the chapter and
Mm.
it says, go to chapter 3 if you want to do this, or go to chapter 8 if you want to do this, right? And so, I thought about like a video game from that standpoint too, which is just like you can choose your own adventure. So if someone's coming to me with questions, and then I can, well, let me back up. I started off with a multi-step form that had no video. And the multi-step
Mm.
form was basically just like doing the same thing where it had conditional responses based on their selections. And so then when I thought about that, I was like, okay, we can do the same thing in video. And instead of me doing a bunch of explaining, let me just ask the question. And then when what are you here for? You tell me what you're here for. I briefly explain what it is. And then I ask you, what do you want to do next? Because I'm giving you control over where you want to go instead of telling you where to go. And that was my thought process. And then I had to think about how to connect everything to back to my call to action. And the way I thought about it
Uh-huh.
was, okay, cool. If I give you these choices, but the one choice I should always give you is, how do you escape from here, this journey, to get right to a phone call if that's what you want to do? And that's my call to action. So it's right there for them.
Okay.
And so I see some people, they'll go through a bunch of steps, they'll go back. Other people, they go right to just a phone call after they get it. And that's great because they're getting what they need when they want it. And people tell me all the time, they're like, man, I really enjoy your onboarding process. And I explain it. And by the time we get on the phone, they feel like they know me already. They write to me emails like they know me, like we're friends. And that's great because that means we have connected through the internet, which is really hard to do.
That's awesome. Also, I wonder if you notice like a difference, maybe not necessarily in the amount of visits or interactions, but have you noticed a difference since you didn't have video on your homepage before and after? Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, so what I noticed was that one, engagement. So like you go through your Google Analytics and you can see how long page time is for someone staying on the page. That
Mm.
increased by like 63%. People were
Oof.
staying on the home page longer. Now, that doesn't mean anything unless it leads to more leads that are coming through. And what I did was just beyond getting them through, they'll go through the video ask on the home page, then they'll go to schedule, and when they schedule, now I get to tell you what to expect on the phone call with me. And so now I give you further refinement. And I've noticed that doing those two things together, the homepage qualification, plus letting them know what to expect, giving them an idea of how this will go, it's led to my conversions being much higher on my people who fill out a form and actually go on and book a call. That went from like 73% to like 96%, which is crazy because when you're talking about a site like mine, like that number, every if I get 2 3 more clients, that's a substantial difference to my bottom line from that.
Mhm.
And so now I'm just closing that gap on conversions, and so it's been super helpful. But more importantly, people. they feel warmer when you talk to them. They have a feeling for who you are, and they love it. And not everyone is like that, but enough people comment where it's like, okay, I should keep doing this, do more of it, figure out ways to better use this tool and to use video to communicate with people.
And I think, yeah, that's great. I wonder because I was talking about this and how and using this with some. This is a bit geeky, maybe a bit internal with VideoAsk or whatever. But I was talking with someone on the team because I've seen more and more of these cases where people would use VideoAsk embedded on their website in a similar way or something like that. And and at the beginning, I was thinking, yeah, that's a very cool way to actually do what you're doing to create a great experience and tailor the offering or bring people where they need to go or take them to see what they want to see. Right. And that's how I thought about it. But I was talking to Paul Campillo, actually, the head of brand at Typeform. And he was like, but there's more to it because there's the whole analytics parts of it, because now you have data on behavior on people on your website and you can start building profiles. And I was like, hold on, because I'm so basic, right? Like for me, it's more like visuals, like the experience, things like that. But he was like so strategic about it. And I wonder,
Yeah.
are you doing anything like that? Are you like using this data that you get from people responding to your video ask?
Yeah, so I'm not able to use it directly through the tool itself because I don't capture their email through video.
Okay.
I end up using a different service, but I still have analytics, Google Analytics on the page, so I'm able to see gender, I'm able to see age, I'm able to see these things and get a
Mm,
feel for where they're at. So if I wanted to do like tag along marketing, so like I'm following them on Facebook or across Google, I can be very specific about what page they were on, and then I can target them with a message there. And I can come with another message in video, say, hey, you didn't schedule a call and you left off here. Is there something else that I didn't address, right? And I guess doing it like that and being able to segment down with that type of information drives your cost per click down so much, right? So now you're not
okay.
paying as much for a lead. And it's just being able to combine those data and think through, okay, what's the message I need to give to this person over here video wise? And so I'm able to do those things as well. So like I have a very low Facebook budget. Like I spend maybe like $100 a month on it, and then I
Mhm.
just do follow along targeting, retargeting ads and things of that nature for those people that I have this data set on. And then also, if I'm developing branding content later on, I have an idea of what my avatar is. What does this person look like? Where are they from? What are the things? And so capturing that data is really helpful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good to know because like that's something new for me that I didn't think about it, and I shouldn't be saying this because I'm creative director here at VideoAsk, but like still, like there's so many things to learn because it's such a new tool. And anyway, we end up talking about VideoAsk a lot because that was the way that was unexpected of this, but like
Yeah, but
that
it could have been any. It could have been any tool. Honestly, there are other ones. That's just what I said on. But the concept behind it is more important.
that's what's important in my opinion. Yeah. And so okay, so I think we talked about why being personal matters for your personal brand or even your business. Like Stanley, of course he has a personal brand, but he also has a business. And as I said many times already in this episode, like I love the way that he's doing it. um to wrap it up, I wanted to get specific, as I said before, and ask you to share with people watching a couple of examples on how you can be more authentic. So you already talked about the mirror. That's great. That's a great way to get used to it. But do you have anything else that you want to share on how to be more comfortable or more authentic when you talk to a camera?
Well, the first thing is like I just number one, stop. Don't. You're not a character. You're just you. If that's
Mm,
your business, right? So just be you. And then if you're like, well, who am I, right? Record the video, show it to your friend, ask them, is this me? Is this how you see me? And then they'll let you know right away. They're like, nah, you're faking the funk right now. That's not real. That's not really you. And you got to go back to the drawing board and you do it again. And then you're like, okay, sometimes in the outtakes, like that's when you get the best parts of yourself. When you're just like, shit, this was terrible, right? And you get a chance to see yourself and you're like, actually, this is okay. This is me. And I'm
yeah.
good with that. So that's what I would do. I would say, one, just record more. Two, show your friends, let them see it and get their feedback from it and say, is this how you see me? Or what's missing here, right? The third thing is, I think you really have to like make yourself feel comfortable. So if it's if you go to an artificial space where you're like in a building that you're never in for real, you automatically start feeling different. But if you're in like your kitchen area or something where you're just comfortable and you got your candles lit and you got a little drink right there, cool, do that. It's okay. Like it's totally okay. I I host a thing on this a talk once a week where I get drunk and I talk about student loan stuff, right? And I combine it, I make cocktails and I drink and I talk and people love it. And sometimes I slur my words and sometimes I'm cussing and all these other things, but it's
You gotta send me a link
okay.
to that because I want to watch
No, definitely.
it.
It's on Clubhouse. We all just started using Clubhouse on the iOS app
Mhm.
and everything. It's really dope. But I think from the standpoint of do things to put yourself in a comfortable position, right? You want to place yourself in where you feel, okay, I can do this thing. And then give yourself grace. Like you're not going to be perfect. It's going to suck, but it's never going to suck as bad as you think because your best, your what you did that day is going to be someone else's what they're aspiring to be like. They're like, "Oh, I wish I could be more like
Mm,
you," and you have to be okay with that. Like you compare yourself against the greats, but the greats didn't get there overnight. They worked towards it, and so just be
so
okay with
true.
your and just keep getting better and better and better. And like what I see today, I hope I don't see this a year from now. I hope I'm way better than this.
So true, so true. And actually, what you just said is so important. Um, to get started, there's many tricks like the mirror, whatever things. Do it alone. Sometimes we feel more comfortable when there's no one watching. It's definitely gonna feel much more awkward if you're like on the street and then you take the phone out and you feel like everybody's looking at you. No one does, but you feel like that, and we've all been there. Probably you, Stanley, have been there, and I have been there many times, and I still feel a little awkward. Then it's gone after like a minute. It's gone, and you don't care. But like at the beginning, it's like, oh shit, yeah, it's a little bit, yeah, I'm a fucking influencer or
Right? Because
whatever.
if you break out your camera at a coffee shop, number one, you got this tripod out sitting up and you're holding it. And it's just a weird thing because who does that? But once you get past yourself, you're cool. But if you're like someone who has a hard time getting started, make it easy for yourself. Put yourself in the most ideal, comfortable situation for you. If it's your bedroom, be there. Just get the shot and be done with it and just keep pushing. And if you don't release it to the world, just record it and get better with it. You'll feel it comes. It comes with time.
Exactly. Um, I think that's a great way to wrap it. But before we do, I just want to ask you one more thing,
Yeah.
specifically because in the way you did the video ask on your website, it's, as I was saying, it's so sharp. So I wonder, when you do content, are you thinking about engagement? Are you thinking about how will this be consumed, or you just talk and that's it?
Um, I, I I try to think about what I try to think about what's the question my client has, that person has. Because again,
Okay.
there's so many people that are writing about what I'm writing about. So I go look at the other content, I see how they're doing it. And I really hate like you know how you if you look for a recipe, some of the blogs, because they're trying to game SEO, they have all these paragraphs before they get to the recipe. And so you got
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with like student loan information.
Mhm.
So I want to get right to it. If you're on video, I don't care about YouTube monetization making money because I kept you on a video for 10 minutes. No, I want to get you the information you need right away. So that's how I think about how can I deliver information. When I write a blog post, I want my answer to be right there at the top. And if that means my bounce rate goes higher because they're on the page and off, cool. But at least they got the answer they wanted, and I
That's
build
perfect.
trust that way. And that's the way I try to do is like, how do I answer this person's question?
That's perfect. I'm so glad that I asked you this question because I think that was very necessary. Honestly, like sometimes we feel like we need to say more stuff than what we actually need to say, but that's just in our brains. And honestly, the other person doesn't need to hear that, and that might be a reason for them to bounce off and to drop and stop watching. And this is probably not what you want. So sometimes, like we feel we need to introduce ourselves and things like that, and it's not necessary. Actually, you do a great job. It's like saying, "Hey, this is me and this is what I do. What's your question?" Boom. You don't need to
Yeah,
start
you don't have to
talking
you
and
don't have to do a
rambling.
bunch of stuff. Hey, I'm Stanley Tate, I'm a student loan lawyer. How can I help you? And it's kind of like was it you ever watched the movie The Princess Bride? With the dude with the
Yeah,
sword? He's
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey,
yeah, yeah.
right. He tells you exactly who he is and what he's there for right away, right? And you have to keep that in mind. It's very simple. There are these very simple sentences. Here's who I am, here's what I do. How can I help?
Yeah. That's perfect, Stanley. I think that's a great way to end the episode. As I've been saying during the whole episode, if you're interested in watching Stanley's page, you can find him at tateesq.com. That's his website. You can check out his website. You can see how he's fucking nailing the whole video thing for a business and for to build also his personal brand. Stanley, thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate this conversation. I personally learn a lot of things, and hopefully you guys learn too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time today. I hope I helped someone.
Definitely. I think you did. Okay, guys, one more thing. Stanley and I are going to be around for the next few days, and we're going to answer your questions. So if you have any question, you want to reach out to Stanley, feel free to do so. And we'll be around answering all your comments. So fill up the comments with questions or thoughts, and we're here to support you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.